Right now, Donald Trump in the Oval Office has a gay problem.
Wait, what are you saying?
Donald Trump has a large faction of gay Republicans.
That's fine.
No, that's not fine. That's
Okay.
not fine.
Wow.
That's not fine. I'm a social conservative. I'm against
I'm
gay.
a social conservative
Are you
too.
against gay marriage?
The first prompt is, Donald Trump perfectly embodies conservative values. Can the agreeer step forward?
As an American and as a small c conservative myself, I have an interest in conserving this country, what makes this country great, our founding principles, things like that. And I do think that President Trump does a phenomenal job at trying to conserve those values and those principles.
In the respect of, protecting borders, really prioritizing family values and family unity, correcting our education system, fighting back against what ruined my home country of Iran, where the socialists joined hands with the Islamists, and we see what happened there. I think that he sees all of that very clearly and has a good grasp of not just domestic issues, but also has a great grasp of foreign policy issues. I feel like he's the first president who sees things clearly.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
One of my hugest issues with Donald Trump is the family values issues because, he's an adulterer. His friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, super concerning. His treatment of women, the civil case against him for sexual abuse with Jean Carroll. I mean, all that is not indicative of someone who values family.
When I think of conservatism, I think small government. And right now, I don't know how you all feel, but I feel like we have the biggest government in our life that I've ever experienced. We have National Guard walking our streets. We have ICE being militarized. We have the Bible, the Trump Bible, being sent to schools such as in Alabama, that they are making their educators teach. This is not the America that I've always known. I'm a believer as a traditional Republican in small government. I think that what he is doing is a far overreach of what a president should be doing, because I know your argument is we need to get back to what America, was. But my question for you is, what is America? What is your definition of what does it mean to be an American? What are American principles for you?
Well, I'd like to respond actually, because I think when you talk about small c conservative, and you talk about small government, it's small in scope, but it is a powerful government. So when it comes to using the National Guard to uphold immigration law, I think that's totally acceptable because that does fall under the federal government. That's one of the main things that they do is enforce immigration law, life, liberty, property, right? So we want a strong government in those regards. What we don't want is the government in our healthcare, in our education. And I do see the Trump administration as wanting to reduce the scope in that regard.
But why do you think that the courts are preventing the National Guard?
They're not. They're not. They have no jurisdiction over the executive branch. The Supreme Court has ruled in favor of Trump every single time. Using the National Guard to protect federal agents, there's nothing unconstitutional about that.
I think to get back to the prompt they were saying was is Trump the perfect embodiment? Now, I didn't come forward because I don't think he's the perfect embodiment. No way is he the perfect embodiment. But neither was George Bush Sr. I don't even think Ronald Reagan was the perfect embodiment of what I would consider myself as a conservative. Donald Trump is, to me, just the best person that can bring a coalition together so that we can maintain this side of the Overton window about what conservative values are.
Right, but that's why I want to challenge CJ. Would you consider rule of law, respecting the rule of law, a conservative value?
Absolutely. That's why I did not vote for Donald Trump.
But if Donald Trump is upholding the rule of law as it relates to federal immigration, immigration enforcement, absolutely.
Undocumented migrants are protected under Amendments 4, 5, 6, and 14. So if you're not going to give them their due process, and you're going to arrest them at their court hearings, of which they are literally trying to just follow the law to becoming a citizen, do you find that's a problem?
But they're not following the law to become a citizen. That's the entire point.
Under asylum law, they have a pathway to citizenship.
See, to me, Trump is the best answer to keeping an America where we can have these kind of conversations going.
I'm actually really worried about the suppression of free speech. There is a compact for excellence in higher education that's being bandied about, and they want the universities to sign on to it, and they want to define what free speech is, the Trump administration. We don't need a definition of free speech. We know what it is. The courts have already declared that.
You don't really know if that definition is going to limit free speech or not.
Just the fact that they're saying we're going to define free speech and let you know what it is, that in and of itself is a problem.
I hear that. I don't support these anti-Semitism laws that are coming out, right? But again, what Trump is preserving is that framework that we can argue anti-Semitism laws, pro-Semitism laws. We can still argue that.
But what do you make of the lawsuits, though, where he's suing NBC and he's suing anyone who is giving him press?
The lawsuits specifically aren't opinion-based or expressing opinions. They were defamation suits.
They were
defamation
defamation.
lawsuits, and he won.
Well, yeah, he did win.
Here's the deal. Did he file a lawsuit, or did he go and shut them down with the power of the federal government? Which one did he do?
We have
It's
Colbert
real easy.
that's going to be no longer having his show.
Colbert cost the network too much money.
He's the #1 rated talk show host.
Yes,
Which
the
is-
#1 rated, which is, look, this
Yeah, they
show
are.
this show that we're on will get more
More views
than Colbert.
Exactly.
Trump had a lawsuit against Colbert. Part of the lawsuit, there was an exchange of Paramount buying out, I believe it was CBS.
He's on CBS.
CBS.
Yeah, he's part of the whole
And so
Skydance
Trump
thing
pressured
right
them to get Colbert out of there in order for that to go through, that sale. And he's trying to do the same thing with Jimmy Kimmel.
Okay.
Can you share why you did not vote for Trump a little bit?
I work in real estate. I can spot a con man from a mile away. When somebody asks him a specific question, he does not answer that question. Instead, he'll say, oh, did you see Barron hit a home run in Little League? Oh, that was one. He diverts.
Who is better than Donald Trump? I'd love to know, because in 2 years, we're going to have to answer that question as a party.
I am concerned about how we're headed. I mean, he's definitely consolidating power in the executive branch, and we have a very, it's a fragile system. It's a legislative, judicial, and executive. And right now, it's all the powers going there. He's pressuring the FCC. He's pressuring the DOJ. By the way, he wants $230 million because of this lawsuit. Oh, and the Fed. I mean, wants the Fed to do what he wants it to do, and the Fed has to stay independent. That's how our system runs. We can't have a partisan Fed.
Trump is protecting pedophiles by not releasing the Epstein files. Can the Greer step forward?
I'm not sure if he's purposely trying to protect molesters, but I think he's inadvertently doing it by not releasing them. I mean, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, let's have transparency, let's release the files, I mean, then it needs to get done.
If Bill Clinton is in the list, he needs to be arrested. If it's Donald Trump, he needs to be arrested. We don't know. But what we do know is that he ran his campaign on this issue. The issue came up. Pam Bondi said herself that she was going to be working on this issue as a priority. And then all of a sudden, once it's looked into, what list? He's kind of just pushing this under the table. In fact, saying, Epstein, why are you still talking about Epstein?
He capitalized on the energy and in some sense facilitated a sort of awakening where people realize just how corrupt the world is. I think a lot of people who voted saw Trump and partially is bulldozing not only just these political ones, but these networks, these blackmail networks, these really sinister underpinnings in society. And look, it's one thing with the Epstein files, let's say hypothetically, what if there was nothing there? I mean, even though I think that's a stretch, but the fact that he went on a shaming campaign, that's what kind of sparked me. Hold on a sec. He said, why are you asking this? You're like the Democrats. You must believe all the hoax. You are silly. I don't even want you to be my follower. Why are you asking this? It was a very gaslighting style, and it was very concerning to me.
All right. Can the disagreeer step forward?
This is a problem I have with a lot of the Epstein file stuff. It's almost like there's what's that word? Like this fixation on the.
But you think we should stop talking
No,
about the Epstein
look.
files?
There's all kinds of stuff that's really gray. It hasn't come.
So you're saying the Epstein files is really gray?
Is
that what you're saying?
How
gray.
gray is P. Diddy? Is that
It's great, but here's the deal. We don't have to argue about what's really going on with the Epstein files when hundreds of thousands of children are being murdered at Planned Parenthood clinics. It's a matter of priorities. Let's get Planned Parenthood permanently defunded before we go and try to fix this Epstein files.
I disagree to a certain extent. We can have multiple priorities at the same time, and there are going to be certain people that have different vested interests, of course. I disagree with how the communication was, especially in the initial go-around with the Epstein files and the phase 1, phase 2 releases. I disagree with how that was handled wholeheartedly, and I've been
appreciate
public
that,
on that.
yeah.
I think we can all probably agree on that. And I think there should absolutely be justice for the victims of the Epstein, or alleged victims of Epstein, that is. But to say that he is protecting child molesters or anything like that, I think is a very, very disingenuous statement. And to even, truthfully, to claim that Trump might himself be implicated, that's not I think that's a very aggressive claim, considering he very much ran on this issue quite a bit.
When you saw what happened in the 2024 election, when we saw the weaponization of, different political systems, the DOJ, everything, the Democrats threw everything they had at Trump, and Trump ran on it. So I don't think you would run on it the way Trump did if you were implicated in it or if someone you knew. So it's very clear.
And the Democrats would have used that against him.
100%, 100. They used everything.
Unless everyone's implicated, then maybe
that's what I think it
I'm
went.
not saying that.
But no, I think
I'm not
there's a
saying
lot.
that-
I think
By the
there's a
way-
lot to that, though, actually.
But just to finish the point.
It's not maybe Trump. It could be Republican, Democrat. You could have a collapse in the systems globally if you release
Absolutely.
this.
And that's exactly it.
That's why I think it hasn't been released. And
I-
actually,
Wow.
there was talks of that. I was Women for Trump. I was on, one of the rallies, and there was a lot of talk of that people on the Republican side were saying, if you release these, the system will collapse.
Yep.
Are you guys saying the system collapse is that there are so many high-level people that visited this
Yes,
that's correct.
disgusting island?
Yes.
That, you guys get what we're talking about? This is horrific.
Oh, there's so many horrific things.
Yes, but this is my point. That's a horrific situation that still has a big question mark. Who's on the list?
But
We
don't
know.
give up. Don't give up.
I'm not
we're
saying,
not
I'm
saying
not
that.
saying
We're saying
drop
give
it. I'm saying prioritize. Like I know.
But she also said you can do
it's
both.
like the gut.
No, and
right.
I don't agree with the fact that this shouldn't be a priority. However, like I said, I'm just not so quick to jump to conclusions. I think that this is a very, very complicated issue, and it's something that the administration likely needs to be careful about exactly what they're releasing, how they're releasing it, and going about these things.
All of us, as people with integrity, should not let this die.
Can I ask a question? Why
So
haven't
I'm
the
glad that we're
victims-
agreeing on that.
Kat, why haven't the victims sued these people who molested them? Why is it
She
depend-
sued Prince Andrew. for
Okay,
taking-
and
yeah.
more.
Why hasn't
not
Donald
more?
Trump sued the media?
He has. You just mentioned earlier that he did.
Over the Epstein allegations.
He filed a lawsuit against that letter
Why
Kat
isn't he?
mentioned.
Why isn't he
'Cause it's fake.
filing lawsuit against
not fake.
Elon
It is
Musk?
fake, Kat. It is
Elon
fake.
Musk, the richest man in the world, who said he's in the Epstein file. He could sue Elon Musk for freaking what? What is he worth?
Billions,
$500
billions.
billion? Why is he not? Because you would have to have discovery. And in discovery, all these answers or all these
Not why.
questions.
I think he's trying to keep MAGA together, but because he has other priorities
Yeah,
that he'd
exactly.
like to get done.
I think you're treating Trump like he's supposed to be some God figure that comes in and does.
Oh,
all
I don't
these
see him as
magical-
God.
No,
Oh,
but-
we're well aware
but
of that,
that's
and
how
neither
you're
do
treating him.
we.
Like he's just gonna like Thor, just show up with a hammer.
Well,
and
no,
start
getting back to the
hitting.
original
he
question,
can't.
getting back to
He
the original
can't.
question, I do think that he is protecting pedos, mainly himself. You had Katie Johnson. Did you
He's
read
not.
Did you read the testimony of Katie Johnson? I have.
Please enlighten us, please.
I don't think that YouTube would allow the language, but I encourage everyone
Summarize
to
it
go
then.
look into it. He raped with Epstein, this young woman, 13 at the time. I believe it's a total of 17 women have come forward to allege against Donald Trump specifically.
That's
not in the Epstein files, not of the Epstein victims. We're talking about others. He owned the Miss Teen beauty pageant.
Oh my gosh.
You had quotes from these teenagers, women, that said that he would come into their dressing room and watch them. And he admitted it. He admitted that he grabs women by you know what. Are we supposed to just sit here and defend this man? I'm sorry, I voted Republican.
Really?
But I cannot defend this absolute, disgusting, vile psychopath. And for anyone who can, I think is un-American.
The Miss Teen USA claim is a complete lie, actually. There have been claims that he has walked into dressing rooms
He's
of
admitted
the.
it.
No!
On Howard Stern, he admitted it, that he goes backstage because he can.
Not
That
at
Howard
the Teen
Stern clip
Miss
was,
USA.
he was clearly joking.
Why don't we all just go back and watch it? We'll figure out for ourselves.
Please.
Trump was a much better president during his first term.
I believe that Trump was a better president during his first term, mainly because he was more cognizant, aware of things. He was healthier. He had better people surrounding himself in his cabinet. He had people that could tell him no. I remember specifically during one of the protests, he had said, can't you just shoot the protesters with rubber bullets in their knees? And I believe it was Bill Barr at the time said, no, Mr. President, you can't do that. Now, they're shooting protesters with rubber bullets in their knees. That's one of my biggest problems with this administration right now. There's no one in his administration that can tell him no, and that should terrify everyone.
I do think there has been his own personal divisiveness that's been worse this term. We do need some leadership that can unify this country, and that's should be a priority, and it's not, absolutely.
I think he's doing a good job, but I was more Trump 2016. I was more that. I think he got more done. He was more effective, I'll say. I personally have disagreed with him on more stuff this second time around. I don't like what happened between him and Elon. I'm not a big fan of the big beautiful bill. I'm not pro rah-rah Israel like he is, but I appreciate the ceasefire. One of my biggest problems is he's softened on the social issues. So he put all these great justices in that overturned Roe v. Wade, but they've still got more work to do. There's Obergefell is coming hopefully in front of the court, and hopefully that'll get overturned. Because right now, Donald Trump in the Oval Office has a gay problem. The New York Times reported it. They call it Donald Trump's big gay government.
What are you saying? Wait,
You don't
what
know.
are you saying
It's
about
flying
a big
undercover.
gay government? I don't understand what you're saying right now.
Donald Trump has a large faction of gay Republicans.
That's fine.
No, that's not fine. That's
Okay.
not fine.
Wow.
That's not fine.
Okay.
When he has that kind, I'm a social conservative. I'm against.
I'm a social conservative.
Are you
too.
against gay marriage?
That has nothing to do with people serving in an administration. People who are gay can serve in administration
Yes.
quite perfectly.
But when
and
they bring their
wonderfully.
values to work and they affect public policy and they fight other conservatives to protect
we need
marriage.
more Republicans, and if they're gay,
We-
we're welcoming you.
We'll welcome gay Republicans. When you come in, you have to be against gay marriage.
Do you know who Roy Cohn is?
Yes, I do know Ray
He was
Cohen.
gay, very
Yes.
gay. And he is the one that really gave Trump his
His
push.
start, right.
And there is rumor that there was some action going on. So how does that make you feel?
Well, I would say if gay was Trump and he's closeted about that, I would say, Donald, we all make mistakes.
What
You
about
need to repent.
Grindr crashing during the RNC?
I'm not a pride guy. I've been around the LGBT community all my life. It's not a healthy community. So when it comes to these social issues, Donald Trump, in his first term, he was the guy that overturned Roe v. Wade. I want to see in the second term that he's the guy that supports the overturn of Obergefell.
I just want to get something clear. You guys don't like the big beautiful bill, but you like TCJA? Or where you?
TCJ?
Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the first administration, 2017. The big beautiful bill is an extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Key facts about it is that they reduced the marginal income tax rate for across the board. They reduced corporate income tax, so it was essentially a tax cuts for the middle class, for the lower middle class, and Big Beautiful Bill expanded on all of that. They included capital provisions for bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. You guys seem to be against the Big Beautiful Bill, but do you even
Has
know?
manufactured come back?
Mixed. Some has. They're building a lot of new plants. There's a ton. You know, these things, they expedited approvals for like data centers and stuff, so things are being built right now. There's a bunch of companies that are investing billions of dollars into this, so I would say yes, absolutely,
Do
it
you
has to
think
come
that
back.
we should be a consumer economy like we've always been, or turn more into like a manufacturing economy?
I think
But
it
if-
needs
if
to
you-
be a mix
Yeah,
because we
absolutely.
can't have, like, again, as a physician, most of our insulin is not made in America. Many of our drugs that people need to survive on is actually made in countries that are hostile to the US. So there's certain things that we absolutely, in the name of national security, do need to repatriate.
Do you think it would be easier to have these companies be able to manufacture in the U.S. if they had a consistent tariff policy instead of, oh, we're going to do 1,000%. Oh, no, it's 30%.
The tariff policy is why we brought back manufacturing. If you look at chips,
Right, but it's
But let me
inconsistent.
explain, because a lot of people don't understand this. If you look at the Chips and Science Act, for example, which was bipartisan. The only reason that was economically viable was because of the tariffs that were placed on China in Trump 1.
No, I'm talking about consistency.
That is, I would say the whole Trump platform is consistency. He's deregulated AI, he's deregulated crypto, he's pro-manufacturing, he's pro-bringing back, onshoring manufacturing here. So it sounds
if I'm a business owner and I have to decide whether I'm going to have my manufactured in China or the United States, I want to know what that tariff is going to be and that it's not going to change or fluctuate next week, next year, next month.
You want predictability?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the hardest things right now is that companies are struggling with predictability.
I'm in a lot of different organizations of entrepreneurs and also treat a lot of entrepreneurs. One of them, for example, recently I was talking to does textiles for a very large company here in America that you all go to. And she brought all of her manufacturing back into the United States. And you know what she told me? She said, you know what, even if there's not predictability, I feel good that I'm giving jobs to Americans. And there is something other than money that real humans feel when they repatriate these jobs.
What's going to happen when we all lose the jobs, at least white-collar jobs in a couple of years?
To AI?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll happen like any other time in history. We will adapt, and we will have new jobs, and we will be more productive.
When the internet first came out, all these conversations were had, and we all adapted.
This is why I actually do have a problem with Trump 2.0, is the fact that he went against Elon Musk.
He didn't go against Elon Musk.
Yeah.
They had a disagreement as regards to the deficits. Musk's issue was that the Republicans weren't hawkish enough, meaning like they didn't reduce spending on social welfare
so
spending.
that was my agreement with Elon.
There's different priorities between Elon Musk and President Trump and his administration as a whole.
Absolutely, but
Agree with that?
absolutely, but I think he should use Elon Musk as an advisor. Talk about a businessman.
Do you think there's a conflict of interest, though?
What's the conflict of interest?
Well,
between
he got $5.9 billion in government contracts.
That was through Biden. That was during the Biden administration.
That was literally under Donald Trump.
Those are competed for in the open market. Anybody can qualify for those.
It comes right out of our defense.
It's not just Tesla. It's not just SpaceX. There's tons of companies that qualify for those. You're
And
talking
he
about
is the number one government
because he has the best
recipient.
product.
What's that?
He has Tesla, the car, is the best.
But do you think that's a conflict of
60%?
interest?
No, it isn't, because they're
To have
competing
the
for
guy
open
in there
market.
making cuts to
No.
government workers.
If anything, Trump. You realize Trump took away the EV tax credit, right?
Yeah, he actually
Of
took
course.
those away.
But if Tesla's taking up 60% of the EV market, obviously they're going to have the most nominal amount of
But
contributions.
we're talking about SpaceX.
Even SpaceX, that's an old. They literally produce rockets for 1/10 of the price of NASA. The reason they get the contract is because they competed for it.
Why does the richest man in the world at $400 billion need a 5.9?
He doesn't
government?
need anything.
Well,
When he
got
took
it.
the loan, he paid it back on time and then some with interest. I mean, I want to ask you guys, like, so what is it about the first term that you like better? If Trump came into the second term, like locked in, they literally came in with like a script, and he's extremely effective so far. Like extremely, like he's so effective that you got 7 million people protesting. He's too effective, like no kings, whatever bullshit. Like it's like that is a testament to how effective he's been at executing his agenda. So what is the problem in the second term? I just want to hear it.
Aside
clearly.
from Epstein, what is something that Trump said he was going to do that he hasn't moved pretty swiftly on?
Well, that's the problem.
That you are
he
concerned
has.
about.
That's the problem. He has been effective at what he's doing. If you think that what
don't
is
think you're
happening right now is based on traditional Republican values, then
Absolutely.
I don't agree with that.
Please name something that is not in line with traditional conservative values. He's
Well,
respecting the rule of law. He's empowered.
He's not respecting the rule of law.
Absolutely, he's empowered.
He's
the
a
police
convicted felon, for Christ's sake.
Totally political.
What do
Totally
you mean?
political.
They're convicted for the
34
real
counts-
crimes.
34 counts
Nelson
of bullshit.
Mandela was also a convicted felon.
We're not talking about Nelson Mandela.
I'm
We're
just
talking about the
saying,
president of our country.
Okay, fine.
No, but I'm talking about
aside from your personal gripes about President
Personal.
Trump.
What I'm dismayed about is that there used to be this term called compassionate conservatives. And so if you think about it, we conservatives, we cut taxes because that's conservative, but it's also compassionate because we're getting money that is our money that we're making back in our pockets to spend
Absolutely.
as we want.
Yep.
And I do think that there is a 100% lack of compassion. There is no compassionate conservatism anymore. And I want to see that. And I think he's been way more divisive than he was in his first term. We have to stop the us versus them mentality in this country, and there is no leadership in that at all
Can I
whatsoever.
respond to you? Because the MAGA movement, especially in the second term, is a coalition movement of classic liberals, libertarians, old school conservatives, young Gen Z conservatives. He saw the vote shift with all minority groups over to the right with Trump. So it's a unitarian movement. The MAGA movement includes everybody, and gay people too, by the way.
Actually, gay people went down in
Oh,
2020.
well, I don't know. I think if we're gonna, I disagree with you on the gay
Yeah,
issue.
sure, I
If we're
get
gonna
it.
call ourselves the most tolerant and accepting country on the face of the planet, we absolutely would welcome gay conservatives. You have this very accepting, very coalition building movement. I don't see it as
But
divisive at
do
all.
you see the compassion at all?
Trump claims he's America first, but his actions put foreign interests first. Can they agree or step forward?
Well, I mean, we can talk about the most recent example with regards to giving Argentina $40 billion. When we're currently on a shutdown, starting November 1st, you're going to have food assistance recipients, including children, not get their food assistance. The Republicans are nowhere to be seen, and it's largely due to Donald Trump. He's playing golf. Factories being closed in Detroit. You've got Nestle. They just said they're going to be laying off 16,000 employees over the next 2 years. This man is America last. It's Donald Trump first. It's his billionaire buddies first. The party is dead. And until we get them all out, these MAGA people out, it will not recover. Period. End of story.
Can they disagree or step forward?
So really quick, who is exactly responsible for the government shutdown that we're currently in?
Well, the Democrats.
Okay.
But does anyone want to say why?
Because it's the only leverage they have at
Yeah,
this point.
Well,
'cause
what
they're
happens if they
actually-
go through with this big, beautiful bill?
What happens? What's your concern?
My concern is that health coverage, if you're getting it through the healthcare marketplace, is going to go up 2, 3, 4 times. That's my concern.
Yeah, because it's heavily subsidized, because of the ACA has ballooned the cost so much because the Democrat policy is so bad.
Do you agree that the costs are going to go up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's how subsidies work.
You want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act?
Yes,
and
because
replace
the
it with what?
Unaffordable Care Act,
Replace it with what?
a market solution.
Do you think that universal health care would be a viable option?
No.
No, absolutely not.
I don't understand, because everything that you've said very clearly aligns with the Democrat Party. However, I don't understand why you think that the solution to the socialist policies that we've had invade our economic system is the answer, when socialism quite literally caused these issues in the first place.
I believe in capitalism, okay?
Yeah.
But
Market capitalism?
I also believe that the way that it's working right now is not working for everybody. And so you have people that are making $100,000 right now feeling poor. As that gap between those making 100 grand and those that are making hundreds of millions continue to widen without any type of balance, you're going to continue to see people getting pushed further into poverty.
Currently, I am in poverty. I'm in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles in 2025.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm a conservative.
Why?
Why am I?
Why are you voting for Trump if you are in poverty?
Because when Trump came to office,
Yeah.
my career actually took off to the point that I was able to get up from just being like a low-level post-production person to being a development executive and getting producer guild credits.
Do you think that that was because of
That
your
was-
skills or because of Trump?
It was because there was so much work, I was able to actually apply my skills to the marketplace. He built the marketplace, and then COVID completely destroyed it.
So one thing that made Trump attractive was this outsider candidate. No one can buy him. And then all of a sudden, oh, you have like the Adelson family. Here's $100 million. Can you come solve the Israel situation for us? We have the Qatari deal, which is like, hey, here's a $400 million jet for you, Trump. And yeah, let's give Qatar a $1.2 trillion economic commitment. So to me, I mean, we don't know anyone's motivation, and Trump clearly has done pro-America things, but he's also done a lot of pro-Trump things.
Yeah.
Issuing the Trump coins, making hundreds of millions of dollars on his crypto endeavor, which first he said crypto was a scam. So it's this weird fusion where Trump does America things, but really he's always doing things for himself. The main guiding principle and anchor for Trump is Donald Trump.
I think that is
Can
super
I
well
respond
said.
to
No,
that?
I think that's super well said because I do think Trump loves America, but only second to himself. Trump does not have a sacrificial love for America.
In Butler, Pennsylvania, he took a bullet. He could have very easily gone like, I'm out, forget this isn't worth it, I'm out.
Not for me.
I'm
The
just
man
gonna
is-
take my cash bag and go home.
He's about to be 80, and he could quite literally live the rest of his life spending his time with his wife, his children, his grandchildren.
He should.
And he quite literally had two confirmed attempts on his life just last year, and you're claiming that he's
No,
unsacrificial
we are
when
claiming
it comes to
that
no, you
he
said-
does love America,
No, you
but
know-
he loves himself
You said
first.
there's no self-sacrifice when it comes to President Trump's love for America.
Trump bends reality. There is no standard for Trump. He memes reality into existence. He's a force of will. He can set the truth, and it's just the energy, the charisma, because there's a true energy and power. I mean, it's
I
borderline.
already voted.
So
For,
my
I already voted for him.
Yeah,
So you don't have to
But
convince me.
here's my
That's
point.
called
If you would
leadership.
swap the Trump, if I told you Joe Biden got a $400 million plane, Kamala Harris got Hillary Clinton, you would be like freaking out about it.
Because the intent. Did you think his intent is bad?
You know, it's okay for Trump to love himself. You know, it's like Kanye, you know, we should all learn to love ourselves like Kanye loves Kanye.
If
right?
Biden had a
But
crypto coin that was untraceable, would you guys have a problem with that?
that's the point of crypto coin, if I understand. It's supposed to be, my wife bought a bunch of crypto coins.
But do you
right?
think that it should be in government? Do you think that if it were Kamala Harris, you'd have a problem with her having a crypto coin and her net worth has been proven to go up by $3.5 billion over the last year?
Trump first. It's like an ordering. It's like I love my wife first, then I might love my next door neighbor, right? But it's just with the order of priority.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, I don't love my country more than I love my grandchildren. I love my country because I love my grandchildren.
The current ICE raids violate American values and constitutional rights.
Yeah, it violates Amendment 4, 5, 6, and 14. What else is there to talk about? They have the right to due process. They have the right to education. They have the right to be with their family, stay with their family. They have the right to not be illegally searched. At the end of the day, these are human beings. They make up about $100 billion per year of U.S. taxpayer money. He has spent $100 billion so far to go after some criminals, but it's actually a larger percentage of people that have not committed crimes that he's now going after.
I think an American value is dignity,
Right.
giving someone dignity and worth. I think an American value is also life, and we have had 20 people this year die in ICE detention, and that's the most we've ever had since 2004. I mean, the way in which this is being done is not showing dignity and compassion for those people who are here undocumented.
I would say that from a systems perspective, difficult things have to take place. And so on the ground, some of the stories aren't going to be pretty. And the question is, where's the line? Personally, I think there needs to be some distinction between the person who grew up as a baby and now is 25 years old, grew up with an American identity, but they never had the documents because of the sins of their ancestors, right? Because of what their parents did, compared to someone who's opportunistically coming in here and maybe trying to use the system in a, not the best way. I mean, this is a complicated thing. I think managing a system is very difficult.
It is very difficult.
Not to mention the corporations actively recruit undocumented migrants because it's cheap labor. So if they're recruiting them to come, they want them to come, and then you punish them, why aren't they punishing the owners of these companies? I've also noticed that they're putting tape and covering their license plates in like Illinois and California, which is against the law, even for law enforcement. You've got them dressed in full tactical gear, looking like they just came out of Afghanistan, raiding streets, throwing tear gas in the middle of blocks, disrupting normal life. Why? In my opinion, it's because he wants the theatrics. It's a distraction. It's a distraction from the fact that the food prices are still up, the wars are not solved, nothing he has promised is done. And this is a distraction, because all he has left is tough on crime.
Okay, you guys mentioned that ICE agents and federal agents should not wear anything to cover themselves. I don't understand how as Republicans you can say that when the cartel has literally put out hits on federal agents for enforcing the law. To say that such a ridiculous thing as like, oh, they should uncover themselves and whatever, like, do you want their families' lives to be in danger, or like what is the logic behind
They
it?
weren't in danger under
Because they weren't being
Biden or
doxxed.
They
Trump.
weren't doing it.
Because they were because the like the left lunatics that for some reason now think that immigration law is optional all of a sudden weren't acting that way at that time.
Where they're throwing tear gas in the middle of the block.
They've done those
It's the reason
raids.
why people are upset.
They do raids like that all the time. Before I was born, they were doing
They
raids
did
like
it in
that.
Albany Park. I sell property in Albany Park. It's not an area I'd ever be scared of. And you couldn't even see the house on the other side of the block. There was so much tear gas.
When
to go
you're
after-
dealing with cartels, human traffickers, drug traffickers,
What are you?
You absolutely
Yes,
are.
you are.
Sometimes.
No. Here,
They have every right to cover themselves and hide their identity.
I agree
Absolutely.
when you're going after the cartel.
That's what they're doing.
The borders should be strengthened. I think we can all agree on that, right?
yeah, absolutely.
But what do you do with the people that are here that aren't criminals?
Just want to take a bird's eye view of all of this. It has to do with the number of representatives in the House that are allotted to each state. Why did Nancy Pelosi want to give free houses to undocumented immigrants? Why? Because of apportionment. California had the most U-Haul rentals of people leaving California. They lost a House seat because the number of bodies, not citizens, bodies in California went down. So in order to counteract that and get their House seat back, they're incentivizing illegal immigration. Please try to take the emotion out of it for 1 millisecond. I know that it's hard, but it really has to do with the number of bodies, the number of House seats, and power. Because I guarantee you, if apportionment went back to just counting US citizens,
Which it
the
should.
Democrats
The map would
wouldn't
change.
give two shits about illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
And I want to say one more thing too. My family, I was born in New York in 1979, and we went back to Iran and the revolution started, and they wouldn't let Jews leave. My father was threatened with his life. He said he was going on a medical conference, flew to Vienna, left the passports of me, my sister, and my mother in the government's hands so that they knew we weren't escaping. My mother hired smugglers. We went to the bazaar one day. They put us in the back of a covered truck. We were in fetal position with strangers. Burlap sacks and corn were put on top of us, and we were taken to the border of Pakistan, where we got into a pickup truck. That night in the desert, border police caught us and started shooting at us. We lived in Pakistan for 3 months waiting for visas to reunite with my father. We stayed in Vienna for 3 more months to get legal documents to come to this amazing country legally. It's the right way to do it. We can't not know who is here. They just found a Hamas, somebody
Louisiana.
somebody who participated in the October 7th attacks. They caught him here in the US. Why? Because when Biden administration let all these people in without checking who they are, they let in a Hamas terrorist who participated in October 7th.
I think we could support the ICE raids. The question is there, can something about them be improved, or is it the best possible way? Like the way it's being done is the best, most effective, most charitable, whatever. And maybe you might say it is, but I think anyone here, well, actually, you said you support the border enforcement, the deportations.
I think
okay,
that
so-
border enforcement's important, and I also
and deporting people who are
criminals.
By definition, they're all criminals, considering they broke the law to get
yeah. What do you
here.
mean violent? Like only violent people, or what?
Well, I mean, if you're more than 100 miles from the border and you've been here for more than 2 years, technically they treat you as a misdemeanor. It's a felony if you're within 100 miles and they catch you in less than 2 years. So, I mean, should make the differentiation. But I think that we all agree in your situation that we need to know who's coming here. The problem is that it can take up to 25 years.
Well, that's the thing, and I think I agree with you in the sense that you said, can it be made better? Yes, but it's been such a shit show. We need a reset. Then we can go back and say, okay, let's reimagine this. Let's come up with the ideal solution or close to an ideal solution. But right now, it's so out of control.
Yeah, the system has been clogged with too many false asylum requests.
Yes.
I think that Biden should have done an executive order much sooner than he did, because there was an influx coming across the border. There were bills being introduced that passed the House, and Republicans voted them down in the Senate.
Because 90%
attached
of the
to it.
spending had nothing to do with immigration. It was
That's not
hundreds.
true.
It was like $113 billion. It was foreign. It was a bunch of foreign aid.
No.
and
There was a
nothing to do with it.
standalone. There was a standalone bill. It was for like $86 billion. Every single dollar going to the border. It could have been used for the wall if they wanted to.
The reason why it was turned down is because it wasn't necessary. What was necessary is leadership, not more money, not another law, not nothing. As soon as Trump was elected, the border was controlled. Period.
The Republican who wrote that bill, it was passed in the House. Every single Democrat passed it in the Senate, And it was the Republicans that voted it down at the order of Donald Trump because he needed an issue to run on. Without illegal immigration, he would have lost this election. It's the number one thing, his number one talking point that he would say at his rallies.
His economy.
If you remove all these undocumented migrants that are contributing to our economy, $100 billion a year, by the way, what do you think that's going to do to the economy?
When you look at the South Koreans that were working here illegally in Georgia, and that I'm 100% in support of. I mean, those are American jobs being taken right there. And I thought that was done very well. They worked with the South Korean government. They put them on a plane. They worked back, and they're going to try to get visas and do it illegally. I agree with that. I'm just saying that the prompt was, is ICE, is all the raids, does it work with American values? And I just feel like right now that the way in which it's being done is not being done with compassion, with showing dignity and worth. When you're taking an individual person, you're running that or after them on the streets and tackling them. And I mean, that I don't think it's an American value.
I mean, maybe it's hard to enforce, but can't we just remove certain rights like voting, et cetera, but as opposed to forcible physical evacuation for some of those cases?
Yes, there are going to be people that are seemingly innocent, even though they did come into this country illegally, that are going to be collateral damage in this, but it is all in all a net good that they're all being sent back to their country of origin because, like Sheila has said, we need a reset.
It's about de-escalation. I think that's what works the best. And so when you are dressed in camouflage and you have your weapons held like this and you're walking Navy Pier, if they were dressed like me with a badge, with a warrant, that's a lot less intimidating and that's a lot more, in my opinion, safe.
Donald Trump lacks the personal ethics and morals expected of a president.
I'm a Catholic. It's really important to me. And I mean, Christ is all about forgiveness and turn the other cheek. Trump, I've recently learned, and you can read his book, Think Big and Kick Ass, he has a whole chapter dedicated to revenge. And it's not just one line, it's a whole chapter saying if you don't get even, you're a schmuck. If someone screws you, you need to screw them 15 times as hard. Keep a list of everyone who's harmed you and find the right time and get them. And if someone is disloyal to me, I take joy when I see their failure. And maybe you could say he shifted, but even the Charlie Kirk memorial, he stated, which is a very strange moment after the profound, Erica's reaction with forgiveness, Trump's like, wouldn't really be me, and then he's kind of dancing around a couple minutes later. Anyways, I don't think that's fitting for a presidential mindset.
I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think that moment when it was supposed to be on Erica Kirk, momentous forgiveness. I forgive the man who killed my husband, and Trump turns and it's on him again. Well, I don't agree with you. I don't forgive my opponents. I mean, that is an American value that we hold dear, is forgiving your enemies. And we've already talked about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. We've talked about his philandering. We've talked about his being convicted of sexual abuse. His foundation had to fold because there was misappropriation of funds. I mean, your foundation is your charitable work. That should be so important. That's what you should be doing. And nope, it's misappropriation of funds. I mean, we can go on.
What it comes down to for me is that he's not a president for everybody. I want someone who's going to represent me and everybody else, including people that don't agree with me. Because at the end of the day, that's how we are strongest as a country. And I'll give you the best example. Last week, we had the largest peaceful protest in the history of the country with over 7 million people, 0 arrests made. If you're the president of the United States and you see that there are 7 million people peacefully protesting, don't you ask yourself what's going on? Don't you want to listen and understand why they're upset? Why is it that in response to that, he tweets himself flying in a jet, dumping shit on the protesters as a meme? No apology, no nothing. No, he doesn't address the protests. He didn't address the last one either. He doesn't care about the point because he cares about himself. Full stop, that's it. And that is not somebody that should be leading our country.
So the reason I came up here is because I actually might agree that he lacks the ethics, but I actually think that's what makes him a perfect politician.
Sadly.
But this is more to speak on the nature of politicians.
Yeah,
It's like, what is
yeah.
politics? And yeah, Trump might tweet out, very controversial things, but he stands on business. He stands on exactly what he believes in. A huge part of his campaign was campaigning against this woke, cultural Marxist garbage, and I think he's unapologetic about it, and that's exactly why we like him. I don't need a saint. I don't need I don't look up to politicians for my moral code or anything like that. I want somebody exactly like Trump who is willing to fight and stand on the
But
values
George,
that
why can't we have both? I mean, why
because they
can't
don't
we have
exist.
both?
They don't exist. It's amazing.
That is just so depressing. That is so depressing. You can't have a man of moral. We have in the past. We've had men of moral character. Hopefully, women of moral character in the future that can be president.
I don't think he's a great. I wouldn't marry him if my daughter came home. I married Donald Trump. I'd be like, oh, what the heck? You're gonna. But it was the prompt was, does he have the personal ethics? And we have to separate the person from the culture. This is a culturally Christian nation. It's built in Judeo-Christian values. Everybody knows that.
What does Trump have to do with Christianity?
He is a cultural Christian. He's like Elon Musk. He's like RFK Jr. These guys are upholding.
I don't think Trump and Christian should be near each other.
No. He is upholding the values as an American.
I just don't know what this culture person, where you're drawing the line. But
because it's like Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was he was a man that I would argue with his personal values. He was a deist, he was an individualist, but he had Christian values because he was coming out of Western European civilization. So he baked those things into the Declaration of Independence.
Maybe the best moral character isn't the best president, but it doesn't mean we can't try to find someone, a woman or man, who has fantastic moral character and great policy and can take on Russia and China. I mean, I just don't think they're antithetical.
All right, can the disagreeer step forward?
Sure can. I would love to start off with, I believe both of you brought up President Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. I find it very interesting because President Trump is, in that moment, displaying quite a bit of humility when he's saying, Erica's a bigger person, she's able to forgive her enemies and the individual that committed the most horrific crime possible on her family. He's displaying a large show of humility when he's saying, you know what, she's that big of a person, I'm not capable of that. I mean, I'm not saying that President Trump is a Christian, nor is he obviously the perfect embodiment of a Christian. However, that's a very deeply rooted Christian value, is humility.
Something that my parents taught me is try not to judge people you've never actually sat down and had a conversation with. And I feel like a lot of us, having again been in Iran and having been exposed to the propaganda machine at a very young age, I feel like here it's sort of like we just believe what CNN or MSNBC or the other non-Fox channels tell you without you've never met the man.
To me, the never Trump thing it's almost like looking backwards. He's only got a couple of years left. He's been a transitional figure, I think, to help save this country. So I want to know, let's stop talking about Trump for a second and say, who is going to replace him? Because here's our opportunity for the church, for Catholics, evangelicals, Jews, anybody who believes in this country and the Judeo-Christian values, to stand up and give a great person who will outshine Trump. Who is out there?
Well, we hope the viewers watching this will help promote those candidates, because for most of us, we just receive whoever the platforms are and see, here are your guys, Democrat. So yeah, maybe there could be a grassroots lifting, and through other people influencing that.
I'm CJ Baker, and I'll be running for president 2028.
I appreciate that you two came forward on the personal ethics. I didn't think that you would, and I think it's important for us as Americans to not lose hope that we can have amazing policy and personal ethics at the same time.
There's a big spectrum, even the anti-side, you could be like really hardcore anti, or maybe like, actually kind of like, but, right? So it's a very broad spectrum, and even in the Republicans, there's a big fracturing, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Republican Party is going to unite under.
I disagree a little bit in that sense, because I see the quote-unquote MAGA coalition, or this new Republican Party, as far more encompassing than we've seen the Republican Party be in the past. So, maybe we'll be able to win you guys over one day.
For me, I think the biggest concern I have about the Republican Party is the woke right, and I think we're not talking about it enough, and we're not acknowledging that it exists. And it's the Candace Owens and the Tucker Carlsons, and I don't know if it's just clicks, if these people kind of left mainstream media and they need their money and someone's paying them to say these things, but I think that's where we should all be paying a little bit more attention, because I think that can actually, it led to the death of the liberals and the
Yes.
Democrats, and I don't want it to lead to the death of the Republican Party.
I just want to say I appreciate all your viewpoints. I think it's really important to hear everybody's side. And I think we need to get away from identity because, you know, for me, it's not I'm Republican, I'm MAGA, I'm Democrat, I'm just me. And when you can take a step back out of your shoes and just see the conversation and try to see it through an unbiased lens, I think that's where we make the most progress. But we have to take off our MAGA hats and our libtard shirts, whatever, and just analyze the facts for what they are. Because otherwise, it becomes like baseball. It's like Sox versus Cubs. It's like, that's not how this should be.